analyses. Dr. King's last book was entitled Trumpet of Conscience and was published just a few months before his assassination. This collection of lectures, as important as it may have been at the time it was published in the late 1960s, when many of us first read it, it seems to be even more relevant almost 50 years later. The dispossessed of this nation, Dr. King wrote, the poor, both white and Negro, live in a cruelly unjust society. They must organize a revolution against that injustice, not against the lives of the persons who are their fellow citizens, but against the structures through which the society is refusing to take means which have been called for and which are at hand to lift the load of poverty. This statement served as a preface to his announcement about the 1968 Poor People's Campaign. And of course, Dr. King had increasingly emphasized the importance of understanding the interrelatedness, what we might call the intersectionality of what he called the triple evils of racism, materialism, I like to say capitalism, and he did say capitalism a couple of times, and materialism, and militarism rather. Racism, materialism, and militarism. And this call for a Poor People's Campaign was for the development of a direct action movement against poverty, which he conceived of as not only encompassing poverty in the U.S., but as reaching beyond the borders of this country. We in the West, he wrote in that last collection of lectures, Trumpet of Conscience, we in the West must bear in mind that the poor countries are poor primarily because we have exploited them through political or economic colonialism. And Americans in particular, he said, must help their nation repent of her modern economic imperialism. And you're applauding too much. I misread the instructions and I prepared notes for about 45 minutes, and I just saw that I'm to speak for 30 minutes, so I'm trying to move rapidly through my notes. But in his lecture that was called Youth and Social Action, Dr. King spoke about the young people, and he designated the young activists, and he designated them as radicals, radical young activists. And he meant this positively. They were radical, he said, because they wanted to alter the social system. All of them agree, he wrote, that only by structural change, and that word structural change should become central to our contemporary vocabulary, structural change, only by structural change can current evils be eliminated, because the roots are in the system. They seek a fresh start, these young people, with new rules and a new order. Their radicalism is growing, he wrote, because the power structure of today is unrelenting in defending not only its social system, but the evils it contains.